Hi, I'm Erin from Broke Millennial for the Financial Diet. Welcome to the 3-Minute Guide brought to you by Skillshare. Long-distance relationships are a lot to handle. There's missing your partner, not having the physical contact with each other, and trying to figure out how to communicate in meaningful ways and not just have a perfunctory phone call at the end of the day recapping what had happened. But one of the real killers of a long-distance relationship is the financial burden it can cause. My then boyfriend, now husband, who I call Peach, and I dated for just under a year before I moved to New York City. We stayed in a long-distance relationship for 4 years, 1 month, 2 weeks, and 3 days before Peach moved to New York City, and we were together for a total of 8 years before we got married. Our lives and careers changed a lot in the 4 years that we were long-distance, so we had to keep reevaluating our expectations of the relationship, and finances were a big part of that. Here are some of the ways that we made it work. Split every trip 50-50. For a while in the long-distance relationship, I was the one with more flexibility, so it made more sense for me to be the one traveling from New York City, where I lived, up to visit him. After my 4th trip in a row to visit him, I told him that I simply couldn't handle the financial burden anymore of always being the one to pay to travel. He agreed that it wasn't fair to expect me to be the one paying just because I was the one traveling. So from then on, we instituted a 50-50 split policy. So anytime someone traveled, it didn't matter if it was me to him or him to me, we both paid for 50% of the trip. This also helps make sure there was no mental tally of who had put more into the relationship financially. Obviously, you need to be open with each other about your forms of travel. If the two of you can only afford to ride the bus to visit each other, then it's not fair for you to book a flight and expect your partner to pay for 50%. Peach and I usually also split the cost of dates 50-50 just to keep things simple. If this doesn't sound feasible to you, then consider prorating based on your incomes. It might be a little bit more tedious, but perhaps that's what's more healthy for your relationship. Create your expectations for visits. Peach and I would talk every night, and we prioritize seeing each other once a month. The longest stretch we would go is 6 weeks. Oftentimes in those early years, when I wasn't making a whole lot of money, I would be the one riding a Greyhound bus late on a Friday night in order to see him all day Saturday and then come back Sunday. We could also do more fun dates and splurge a bit more where he lived because it was cheaper than living in New York City. Be wary of putting too much pressure on your time together. It is so easy to put a lot of pressure on these brief moments of time that you get together. It might only be one weekend a month, so you're trying to cram a month's worth of fun activities into a 48-hour window. This trap can sink a lot of long-distance relationships because of that pressure, and the high expectations can lead to fighting. You also don't have to splurge and go on fancy dates each time you see each other just because it is rare. Be sure to treat some of those trips like you would if you actually lived in the same city. Maybe that means cooking at home, putting on sweatpants, and just watching a movie together. Have a savings account for visits. Each of you should have a savings account that you put money in every paycheck in order to cover the trips that you need to take to visit each other and maybe the occasional fancy date. That way you don't have to stress about busting your budgets each time you want to take a trip to see each other. It also ensures that you can always reimburse your partner for 50% of his or her trip if that's the way you choose to handle the finances. Be open about money. The final secret to surviving and thriving in a long-distance relationship is to be open about money. Have an honest conversation with your partner about what you can afford and maybe even more importantly, what you can't afford. There should be no shaming, nor should you constantly cover your partner, because this can create a financial imbalance that can lead to a lot of fighting. Like any relationship, long distance has its pros and cons, its ups and downs. But if you're successful in one, you can learn a lot about yourself, your partner, and how to build a strong foundation of trust and communication. And that translates very well into building both a romantic and a financial life together. Being in a long distance relationship can mean some nights to yourself with time to fill, so why not learn something new? A simple way to get started is with Skillshare, which provides an easy and affordable way to expand your talents. Every week we're featuring a different Skillshare class we think you guys will love. This week's class is Creative Writing for Impact, looking inward and outward in personal essays. Hosted by New York Times best-selling author Roxane Gay, this 1-hour masterclass is an insightful, inspiring look at how to transform your story into a powerful personal essay. As always though, Skillshare offers a huge range of high-quality classes on must-know topics, from writing to fitness to business, and it's all about what you want to learn at an affordable annual subscription of less than $10 a month. And since Skillshare is sponsoring this video, the first 500 people to use the promo link in the description will get their first 2 months free to try it out risk-free. Click the link in the description to check this week's featured class or any of the other classes Skillshare has to offer. Have a money question you want to learn more about? Leave your topic idea in the comments section below. I'm Erin from Broke Millennial for the Financial Diet, and don't forget to be here next Thursday for a new 3-Minute Guide.